Hi, this is Group 3M. I'm Will Clayton along with Dominic DeProspero and Matt Knudsen, and this is our final project for you guys.
The intended view of Organization A is how the manager or the employer wants their employees to behave and how they want their employees to look at them as a manager. So the first thing that is seen from Organization A is that it is important that the manager helps their employees deal with stress, whether that's just talking to them or helping them find new ways that they can finish projects in a more efficient manner, so that the employees don't ever have an overwhelming workload at any point. But ultimately, it is up to the employees to figure out their stress if the manager cannot help them in that circumstance. Similarly, when it comes to motivation and teamwork, the manager wants the employees to be self-driven, and they want them to motivate others that are in the company. So doing this, if all their employees do this, it allows for better team cohesion, and it allows everyone to be on the same page and working toward the same goal. And doing that allows for a more sound structure inside of the company, making sure that there's no time wasted uh, when switching tasks or when working together with other people. Lastly, Organization A's manager views his power of use as expert power, meaning that they think their employees look up and need the expertise of the manager in order to do their job better. This creates the want for employees to learn from their manager because of how much knowledge they have in their respective fields and how respected they are.
So now taking a look at Organization B. So the manager mentioned the short-term goal was to have a high quality of service to their loyal customers, and in turn, by providing a high quality service, they will attract new potential customers either from potential like other competitive competitors or just new customers in general, while also being able to keep those customers for a long time and possibly have family members and have it be like a generation thing. A long-term goal for Organization B, stated by the manager, was to build a positive reputation over time. In doing so, the word starts to get out to different people and they'll begin to check it out and develop word of mouth buzz. So this is a pretty good goal to have moving forward. Their value statement is they want their customers to be confident in the competence of their attorney. So just to, not have any doubts going through all the different processes of the business that they run, as well as making sure that the customers are still staying engaged and not taking a backseat throughout the process. So Organization B's manager believes that motivation and stress are mainly on the employee. And he kind of stated and thought that those coming on to his business would realize that there's going to be stress and issues coming with the job that the people are going to have to deal with, just like in everything else. And they're expected to, motivate themselves and take care of these different stressors. One of the main things that he mentioned was communication. He has had issues with staff not necessarily listening, but this could be due to misunderstanding, especially when you're in a business organization and you become so accustomed to the wording of that given job that it might be hard to understand or hard to explain what you want this person to do when that person may not necessarily understand every term or analogy that you have regarding that with the job.
So going back to organization A, this is the actual view of the organization from the eye of the employee and how they see their workplace and their manager. So based on the employee's point of views, there are a lot of important things that a manager needs to be and that they're seeing. First off is that they think it's important to be agile and proactive. Uh, Being able to change focus from one project to another, shifting thought processes without losing time and focus in between jobs is important in order to keep functionality high, or going to different branches of their company or uh, different people inside of their company, be able to focus on different topics, complete different topics quickly. Also, it's important that managers are able to be proactive and take steps to better get work done. That way, their employees can follow in their footsteps and increase productivity throughout the entire company. The employee also saw that being motivated and being part of a team and collaborating with others within the organization is very important. It is good that both the manager wanted to see this and the employee is seeing this that way, meaning that they are all on the same page and understanding the direction of the company, making it known throughout the company that the importance of being on the same page to better increase their productivity and know what they want to do. Uh, Something that didn't quite line up, though, was their power use and what they thought the use of power was. So the employee thought that the manager was actually using reward power in this circumstance, and he thought that it was more in line from what he's seen from the manager. Uh, Excuse me. Instead, the employee sees this, and that is when somebody has control over the resources or rewards that another person wants. In this instance, the resource would most likely be the knowledge that the manager possesses. The last idea that there isn't a real connection between the manager and the employee is the idea that there's no clear connection between the manager and the employee, meaning that for the most part, the employees fend for themselves, which is what the manager wanted. He wanted those self-determined, motivated people. So there's a positive correlation the way that's happening. For the most part, the views of both the managers and employees match up. So organization A is doing a decent job within their company of staying structurally sound.
Okay, so moving back to organization B, looking at the employee's viewpoint, they had very similar answers regarding motivation, stress, all that kind of stuff. So the employee stated that they realize they have to manage stress themselves, but it's also on part with the manager not to intentionally increase stress levels. So this could be through extra jobs or working them harder hours or, a whole various array of things that could be deemed unnecessary and just cut out from their actual schedule. And the employee also believes that the manager should monitor their staff, especially during these hard times of COVID, because if stress levels begin to take over a person, this could decrease job performance and also productivity within the office. So, although stress itself needs to be managed by the employees, the manager should be taking steps to help uh, with the stress levels within the organization. The employee also believed that motivation should come from themselves. It's not necessarily the manager's job to motivate the staff. The staff are there to work for the manager, but the manager should be providing positive reinforcement towards the staff to show their appreciation and gratitude for all the hard work and effort that they're putting in and day out. Um, the employee the employee believed that the manager used reward power, and this was a difference between the actual manager. The manager believed that he had legitimate power, which is power that comes for the organization itself, especially the position that you were in. While reward power is the manager is in control of rewards and the employee is working towards to get to those rewards. So, and last but not least, the employee talked about team cohesion and communication. And this was also a very stressed point between the manager and the employee was it is extremely crucial for their jobs and to be successful in such a competitive field. As mentioned before, there may be some miscommunications, but this can be a simple fix by ironing out the issues and sitting down and talking with one another to understand and make sure that they're on the same page.
Okay, so now we're going to go over some of the suggestions that we came up with. So these are all, in a way, kind of connected. So the first one we wanted to go over was communication, and how if there's more communication all around, it can lead to higher supervision and coworker satisfaction. And if the employees and manager are willing to communicate more, that has so many positive effects within productivity and motivation. Which brings me to the next point is like developing communities of practice, and that with sitting down and talking things out, that can really help the employee and the manager really understand what's going on and understand the task at hand. And then the next one we had was transactive memory, and so through that communication, developing a sort of corporate culture and what the company's like real values and ideals are, which can also help with employee motivation, and give them like kind of something to follow and like base their work off of what they're doing. And then another thing we had was to prevent adjourning. Adjourning is like breaking off with the intention of resuming something later. So we thought that could also kind of help as a suggestion. And then the last thing is really just, and this is more for the manager, focusing on transformational leadership, and possibly having weekly meetings to inspire his employees and keep them as motivated as he is, because that was one of the, not problems, but things that organization A could have worked on, would be finding that motivation like as an employee, because the manager, we believe, was extremely motivated, but kind of just transforming that motivation from him to the employees. So now we're going to go on to suggestions for B. A couple of these were the same for A and B. So we also had that a suggestion could be better communication and direction. And some of that included having meetings and kind of going over the terms. We found that the employee of organizational B was sometimes a little stressed out, and that leads me to the next point of decreasing information richness and focusing on more basic tasks at hand, simplifying the tasks, maybe, breaking down the tasks into, easier jobs instead of just throwing it all on the employee at once, which could lead to possibly an escalation of commitment problem when they don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing it. They're kind of just blindly following just because they were told to do it. And so then that brings me to the second point of finding middle ground between the manager and the employee. So this would be limiting the challenge stressors that are being put on the employee, and just making sure that that employee is staying committed, but at the same time, making sure the challenge stressors are limited so they don't get too stressed out. And part of the problem with, or the suggestions that we had with information richness, that could possibly be avoided if the company and manager were to develop outside programs. So develop, maybe there's some sort of program that they can go train in that would help the employee know what they're doing, and so you wouldn't have to necessarily decrease information richness. And so it would just, simply just be simpler for that employee because they would get the proper training and go through the proper programs instead of getting too much of a workload put on them and getting stressed out because of that. And our last thing we had was that the manager could possibly provide a little more motivation and to his employees, and that this motivation could be part of the problem as to why the employee is not getting the job done. So that was kind of looking at it from the sense of, well, if the manager doesn't think that an outside program is the right choice, maybe we should use the motivation tactic. So those were our suggestions that we had for A and B.
So, in conclusion, between the two different organizations, the biggest points that came up were communication, stress, and motivation. And it is crucial to make sure you're balancing those properly rather than just always focusing on motivation rather than communication and stress. You should have a good relationship with your employees between